What's up, guys? It is Ben with Ben's Election Predictions. And today I want to do a video focused on how Kamala Harris's vice presidential pick might affect the 2024 election. In previous videos, and obviously, this is very, very early, Joe Biden only announced that he wasn't going to run for re-election about a week ago. And, the party has united around Kamala Harris. Even though it hasn't formally been decided, everyone's endorsed her. The delegates seem committed to her. So I feel pretty comfortable saying that she is going to be the Democratic nominee to run against Donald Trump, who was formally um, voted on in the Republican National Convention to be the Republican candidate. So in my past video, this is where I have the race standing right now. So Donald Trump just slightly favored, but as you can see, five out of the 50 states are in the tilt territory, which means under 2 percentage points on either side. So, anything on the margins can have an impact here, um, turnout, whether the candidate visits the state a lot, um, specific state only effects, like maybe the economy is doing better here, maybe the state being on the border has an impact. So today I want to do a little bit of an analysis on the top VP candidates and the effect that I think they would have if Kamala Harris chooses them to be on her ticket. So as you can see here, the betting markets have it pretty much down to around three or four candidates, or five, including Pete Buttigieg. I think that it is very likely to either be Mark Kelly or Josh Shapiro. So, and if we look at predicted, which is a separate betting market, the numbers are a little bit different. But these numbers actually probably better reflect my view. Even though that I think these bottom four candidates got vetting from the Harris campaign, this has been put out in leaks. I think that it is very likely to probably be the top two, maybe the top three. So let's first focus on Senator Mark Kelly, who seems to be the most likely choice right now, according to the betting market. So he is a senator from the state of Arizona. He got elected to the Senate fairly recently, and he's still a freshman senator from 2018, I believe, and he was a former Navy captain and a astronaut, and he performed very well in 2020, or sorry, in 2020 when he ran against Martha McSally. He won the state by around 4 or 5 points, while Joe Biden only won the state by less than 1 percentage point. So there was some split ticket voting probably from some Trump voters who thought that he would do a better job than Martha McSally. So he's seen as very popular. He is on the younger side, not obviously as old as Joe Biden, and he could be seen as the next president of the United States in 2028 or 2032, if whether or not Kamala Harris wins. So I think he is a very safe choice, well liked, I think, on the national level, has political experience, and also, being an astronaut, um, people people seem to like him because of that. And I think the effect that this would have on the race is, I actually think that I would maybe put Arizona in the tilt Democratic column, and maybe even Nevada, or in the tilt Democratic column, and then Nevada in the tilt Republican column. And how much do VP candidates move the needle? Not that much at all. People are always voting for who's on the top of the ticket. I think Trump's pick of JD Vance will have minimal impact. It might not even affect things at all because you know JD Vance really doesn't balance the ticket whatsoever. And in fact, there is speculation because he's a little bit more unpopular and has some negative favorability ratings that he might even hurt the ticket slightly. But I think those ideas are pretty much overblown. The reason why I think Kamala Harris's choice will maybe have a bigger impact is because she's less defined on the national scale, and obviously, people who are undecided about Kamala Harris are going to come to opinions very quickly as the campaigns pour millions of dollars trying to define her. The Democrats obviously trying to define her well, and the Republicans trying to de- define her as very liberal and in these types of things. So I actually think in balancing the ticket, the Democratic Party would be very wise to pick, a more moderate um Democrat. There's been the kind of this joke that, or not even joke, people have said it on national television that Kamala Harris has to pick a white male to kind of balance the ticket, as she would be the first female president, black black Indian female pre- president, and we do see this reflected in the betting odds, and I frankly think it is a wise choice. Obviously, does it matter and how they govern, but the optics and the politics is a show. So would this move any of the other states? Not really. I think it's kind of baked in that she is going to pick one of these three or four candidates. So uh I don't think that any of these candidates are going to be a particular, horrendous VP pick that'll move the market. So I I I have her picking, a white male kind of baked into it, or like one of these four candidates. However, if she does pick Mark Kelly, this is how I have the election turning out. Obviously, it doesn't change things very much. But it does get Kamala Harris closer to that 270, but I still think Trump would be favored in the election. So next up, moving to Josh Shapiro, and I do want to reset kind of what I had before. So, he's the second choice, seen, between a 20 and 25% chance of winning. What do we know about him? So he is a first term governor from the state of Pennsylvania. So relatively new to politics. And so some people see this as um, him having inexperience, but also if you look at his record so far in Pennsylvania, he won the state by around 15 percentage points. And this was most likely due to his opponent, Doug Mastriano, was widely panned as being one of the worst Republican candidates that could have run. He like went to January 6th and stuff. But I think that this would probably be the best choice for uh, the Democrats. He is very moderate. And he's shown support for charter schools, and after the Trump assassination attempt, I thought he handled that very well, and was kind of seen as this unifier, uniting governor. And so, the effect that I think this will have on this race, I actually think that, if Josh Shapiro solely focuses on Pennsylvania, I actually think this has the potential to move Pennsylvania 1 percentage point, which was kind of unheard of when it comes to VP picks, because typically they don't move the needle that much. But I think that because of how popular he is in the state, and I bet he focuses solely on the Rust Belt, um, that I could see him moving the needle 1 point, which will, I think, make the difference in a state like Pennsylvania. And I think that it's probably going to be under zero point 0.5 percentage points either way. If we look at the polling, you know, it's Trump is up right now, but I do think it'll narrow, and the state that Donald Trump won in 2016, but Biden won by an even larger margin over a percentage point in 2020. I don't think Kamala Harris in 2024 is as strong as a candidate as Joe Biden was in 2020, particularly in the Rust Belt, where you have a larger population of the white working class. Um, and so the question is like, will Josh Shapiro's credibility in Pennsylvania, will that expand to other states like Wisconsin, which has similar demographics, similar geography? I actually don't necessarily think it will. I think it could make Wisconsin closer on the margins, but not as big of an effect as it is here in Pennsylvania. So this is where I have it if Josh Shapiro is the VP. So we get closer, and I do think Pennsylvania is a more important state, just because it has the most electoral votes out of all the swing states. And if we look, and obviously these forecasts have not been updated for after Joe Biden has dropped out, but we see that it was most likely to be the tipping point state in the 538 podcast, and even by an even higher margin in the Economist forecast. So I do think Pennsylvania is the most likely state to be the tipping point state. I would probably even have it even higher, maybe even between 30 and 40%. I truly think whoever wins Pennsylvania will win the election. Obviously, this scenario that I have right now doesn't reflect that, but there's still a lot that can go on. So, and so this is why I think that Josh Shapiro would probably be a better pick from purely an electoral perspective. But you've seen some people in the Democratic Party that say that you know Josh Shapiro being very pro-Israel, and his support for charter schools would make him a non-viable VP pick for the Democrats. However, as we've seen with the median voter theorem, that whoever swings more to the middle, which both candidates are actively trying to do right now, typically has the most success. So if it's Roy Cooper, and I don't want to spend too much time on this because I actually don't think it's as likely that he gets chosen. He is a little bit older. He and he's the governor of North Carolina and also the governor of Kentucky. Both of them don't really have obvious political futures, because they are both term limited governors. Um, and I think Roy Cooper could run for Senate and probably win a Senate race in North Carolina. It would be very close if he went to. Andy Beshear does not have that luxury. He's in a dark red state. If Roy Cooper's on the ticket, I think that maybe North Carolina shifts a little bit to the right, but I don't think it flips. If Andy Beshear's a candidate, and I actually don't think he is because I think he almost wants it too much. I actually seeing that as being a purely neutral pick, or even yeah, probably just a neutral pick. But I'll probably stop the video there. Let me know in the comments who you think would be the most effective VP choice for Kamala Harrison. Also, let me know how big of an impact that you think it'll have. I actually do think it will have a marginal impact in the race just because of how close I think this election does. But typically, VP picks don't have an impact. I don't think JD Vance will have a huge impact. He was supposed to maybe help in the Rust Belt states some, but there's been a lot of negative publicity that he's gotten, so it could end up, backfiring for the Trump campaign. But thank y'all for watching this video. Please comment, like, subscribe, and share with your friends, and be on the lookout for future videos coming out in the future. Thanks, guys.